Hey fellow Pyronauts, it's Casper, the Short Fuse Man. Today we're going to be doing something kind of cool. We're going to be waxing tubes. Now why exactly would you want to do that? Well, what you actually want to do is wax your tube interiors. Maybe you've seen Ned do that before, Ned Gorski. It's a good thing to do when you're trying to get like really high thrust whistle rockets, for example, to not Kato, or if you're doing any other like really high test red line propellants, you know, you're really getting that ISP right up there. You're maxing out everything, and you're getting as much power packed into a little rocket as you possibly can. A lot of reasons why Katos happen with those redline motors with like really powerful propellants and stuff like that is because the combustion between the external, where the external fuel grain meets the interior of the tube, combustion occurs there. And what waxing your tube interiors does is it helps to negate the combustion in that area. Because when you have a... I'm going to try and give a quick example here. Like, not really an example, but like an illustration with these two knives. Okay, so this knife, where it's touching this knife, is going to be the outermost portion, the outermost surface of your fuel grain. Now that's going to be facing away from the core, of course. So the fuel grain that's combusting is, of course, in the core. And we can imagine this edge is like, say, being the core. That's where the spindle was. Now, this surface here is the external fuel grain that's touching this surface here, which is the inside of the cardboard tube. Now, once the ignition starts here at the base of the motor, of course, the propellant, the fuel grain surface that is showing, you know, that was in the core, that forms the core, is going to be combusting. But that combustion also creeps up between the cardboard inner wall and that outermost surface of the fuel grain that is touching the inside surface of your tube. Okay? Now, it's kind of, you know, weird to imagine that combustion happens, but it does. It does happen. And waxing your tube interiors helps to insulate this region so that combustion can be negated or prevented altogether. Now, the reason that you want that is so that your really high-end motors don't Kato. Now, doing this helps to really negate the possibility of a Kato occurring. But that doesn't mean a Kato still won't happen if you press it in consistent increment, or you're not, you know, uniform with the amount of propellant that you're pressing per increment. So you still have to be very careful when you are making any kind of very powerful rocket motor. Now, a propellant that would be very good to illustrate this would be Hellfire propellant, which was originally developed by Dan, whom operates the Hups Custom YouTube channel. Then Running Man, who used to go by 976 Evil, and before that Demolition Man 999, if I remember correctly. He then took Dan's development, gave it a name, Hellfire Whistle, and began employing it in whistle rockets and whistling ground salutes, all that fun stuff. Its main composition is just the oxidizer in fuel, which equals 100 in of themselves. It's like a 65-35 composition of perchlorate and KHP. To that, a gram of copper chromite is added, and then another ½ gram of ferrocene, and then everything's granulated in the traditional fashion for preparing whistle propellants using 2% lamp oil, formerly known as paraffin wax. You know, that Gulf wax, household canning paraffin, that stuff. 2% is used. Now the procedure is you first ball mill your perchlorate with the ferrocene, and you ball mill your KHP with the copper chromite, and it's particularly important that you actually fully dehydrate your oxidizer. If you want, you can supplement some of the perchlorate with chlorate, KClO3, and then you get an even faster burn rate. So what we're doing right now is we're doing that drying step. We got the oven set at 250 Fahrenheit, and we are baking our perchlorate that was milled with the ferrocene, and this is going to be the oxidizer needed to make a 400 gram batch of Hellfire special purpose whistle mix. Now normally Hellfire is so powerful that you only want to use it in delay stages, or a grain that doesn't have a core, because even really short cores, the stuff is known to just go kaboom. Now when you wax your tubes, you can do the impossible, and you can use these really extremely high specific impulse propellants in scenarios where you would not normally be able to use them. But anyways, we got a package here from Caleb down in Missouri. We went ahead and grabbed some 1-pound tubes. So I'm going to just open up this box real quick, and we are going to check out these nice 1-pound tubes that our boy Caleb sent us. So let's see what we got. We also got this here. Check this out. This will be good. Rice hulls. We got rice hulls. Couple pound of rice hulls. Pretty cool. Gonna coat these little bad boys up with BP, and we're gonna have some fun. Good burst charges can be made. But anyways, here, look. Look at this. This is good stuff. Good stuff. Look here. Nice 1-pound tubes. Beautiful 1-pound tubes. See what we got. See what we got. There we go. Look at this. 1-pound New England paper tube rocket tubes. 20 count times 2 for a total of 40. And then rice hulls. Pound of rice hulls. 1 pound of rice hulls. Here's our tubes and our hulls. A few 1-pound rocket tubes with a side of rice, please. Thank you very much, waiter. Oh, that's good. All right, but anyway, oh hey, we can't forget the sticker. It always comes with every order from Caleb. Such a wonderful fellow. Man's great. But here we go. Tubes. We gonna fry them like they're delicious Idaho potatoes. Crunch them up. Fry them up like French fries. Anyways, that's what we're gonna do. We got everything here. Here's our seasonings and things of that nature. We will not need them. Okay, let's melt this oil. Okay, so what we're going to do now is melt this paraffin wax till it's a liquid. Then we're going to treat our tube interiors with the melted wax. Well, also exteriors as well. This is just an easier way of dealing with the waxing process. You only really need to wax the interior of the tubes. You don't have to wax the entire tube and encapsulate the entire tube in wax. But this procedure is easier when it is done this way. You know, it's not as convoluted and doesn't require the other equipment that is needed if you just want to wax the tube interior. In this procedure, you're just waxing the entire tube, and it's quicker and easier and faster. So what we're going to do is just open up this wonderful case of 1 pound tubes. Net tubes are so beautiful. They're just so wonderful. Just can't get over how great they're made. Anyways, here is a 1 pound rocket tube in all its glory. So many fun things you can do with just a good old trusty 1 pound motor. Just a lot of things that you can do. Well, we're gonna show this waxing process here. And as you'll see, not too long from now, it really isn't that much of a big deal. It's very easy. What you think the procedure is all the procedure is. All you're doing is throwing some tubes in molten wax, quickly grabbing them out, and when done right, you don't slobber up anything. You don't get a bunch of unnecessary wax on the tube or anything like that. Everything happens smoothly when you do this right. And you are left with tubes that are treated in a manner that permits their usage for applications where they would normally fail you and explode. Because the problem is when you have the fuel grain pressed inside the motor, this surface, this interior cardboard, when it's not waxed, that combustion will occur between the outer wall of the fuel grain that is touching the inner wall of the tube. That's the simplest way to put it. And that combustion will creep up that surface between the inner surface of the inner wall of the tube and the outer surface of the outer fuel grain that's touching that area. And it will cause a massive, unacceptable, and intolerable influx of pressure when you have the internal fuel grain that is combusting from where the spindle forms the core, and that fuel grain surface is combusting, and you're having combustion gradients in conflicting surfaces. You have the gases that are pushing outward from where the core combustion is occurring, and gas is pushing inward from where the outer wall combustion is occurring, and you get an implosion inside the rocket where the combustion is occurring, and that is the CATO that you experience. And it's why many redline propellants, even when you press them consistently and you're trying to do everything right, CATO is because of this issue, this inherent flaw with the combustion characteristics. Anyway, our oil is now made. This is our wax. It's now oil. It's getting a little hot, a little smoky, but that's not a problem. I'm going to go ahead and grab the infrared thermometer, so sit tight. Okay, let's see what the temp is. 195.5 C, which is 383.9 Fahrenheit. Call it 384 Fahrenheit. Now it's a little too hot, so we shut her down, and we're gonna let it cool. You know, it's gonna let it cool a little bit. But dropping in a tube will help to cool it down, so let's go ahead and do that real quick. It's not going to hurt the tube. We're just going to briefly put it in here. Adjust the camera so you can see a little bit better. But yeah, all we're doing is basically we're just doing a quick deep fry. Quick deep fry of the rocket tube. And just like that. Just like that. We are done. That there. See? Tube's been waxed. That's really all you have to do. Of course, my oil was just a little hot, but we'll still get the same results. I'll mark this tube with a green check mark. Just so we know that we're going to use this one as a reference when we test the rocket with Hellfire pressed all the way up the spindle. All spindle, all delay, everything will be Hellfire. So, let's go ahead and see what happens.